What's going on, everyone? It is Will, aka Jenko UFC. I know, I'm just so popular. I am back. I'm not back. I'm here to give my fight predictions this weekend in UFC Fight Night, Poirier versus Hooker. I'm just gonna jump right on into it. First fight of the night, we got Woodson versus Julien Erosa. Erosa is a late replacement for Kyle Nelson. And I had Woodson winning this fight against Nelson, and I think he's going to win it even easier now against Erosa. Erosa's been knocked out twice in his last three fights. He's lost three fights in a row, and he's just not UFC caliber. I think Woodson's a good up-and-comer with very good technical boxing. Not too much power, but I think the volume's going to overwhelm Erosa at some point, and he will fold him in the third round. So I do have Woodson winning via third round knockout or TKO. His boxing's just too crisp, and I think this is going to be an easy fight for him. Moving on to Gian Villante versus Maurice Greene. This is a fucking shit show of a fight if I've ever seen one. Two just out of shape, not lazy, but just like they're just not technically sound, I guess. Gian Villante's moving up from light heavyweight to heavyweight in this one, and he's been chinny in the past. He's been knocked out quite a few times. I see Maurice Greene winning this fight. I don't know if it leaves the first round. If it does, they're both going to be tired and sloppy. Neither one of them have great gas tanks, but I think Maurice Greene could finish Gian Villante early. I think heavyweight's going to be a bitch for Villante, and I think he's almost done in the UFC. I don't know how much longer he should do this because he's not a very good fighter, to UFC standard, that is. And yeah, I mean, any DFS players out there, take Maurice Greene at 8,600 with his chance of getting an early knockout. Huge. Moving on to the third fight on this card, we got Brendan Allen versus Kyle Daukaus. Kyle Daukaus is another late replacement. Kind of reminds me of Roscoe from last week. Just a guy who's getting his UFC chance. But he's just fighting someone way, like, Brendan Allen's no slouch. I think he could be a top 10 guy at some point. Brendan Allen's going to win this however the hell he wants to. Now, he's a submission artist, but so is Daukaus. Daukaus has some sneaky, great Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I don't think that's going to play a huge factor. He's had way less competition up in the regional scene, and Brendan Allen is up. He's going to be a problem. I mean, such a difference in level opponent he's getting. He was originally scheduled to fight Ian Heinisch, and now he's getting some kid from Pennsylvania who has fought on the regional scene. I could be wrong. I don't think I am. I think Allen wins this easily, probably inside the distance. Now let's move on to Mike Perry versus Mickey Gall. This fight is so interesting to me, and it wasn't 2 weeks ago. But looking into this fight, something is off about Mike Perry. This is a classic striker versus grappler matchup, but Mike Perry's all about this new girlfriend, I guess, and his life almost revolves around her. And you add girls to the mix, I don't care what anyone says, that is a distraction to athletes, in most cases, at least. Not only that, though, it looks like she's been his main training partner. She's going to be cornering him, and only her cornering him. Something's weird here. But he's facing Mickey Gall, who hasn't had any real opponents, in my opinion, yet. This is going to end inside the distance, but I give it to Mike Perry. He's going to land something huge and put Mickey Gall away probably in the second round. But if Mickey Gall gets this to the ground, it could be interesting. It wouldn't surprise me if Mickey Gall won, only because of what is going on in Mike Perry's life. Who knows where his head's at right now? And yeah, I guess no outcome would surprise me, but I gotta go with Perry just based on experience, and he's got some heavy hips and good takedown defense. So, but then the smaller kid, I don't know. It's like every time I want to give Mike Perry an obvious win, something brings me back to Mickey Gall. Nothing would surprise me here. I play DFS, and I have my fair share of both guys. If Gall gets a finish, oof, that's some value. But let's move on to the main event. Alright, sorry, I had to fix the camera a bit, but let's get into the main event. We got Dan Hooker versus Dustin Poirier, and what a fight this is going to be. It's going to be a stand-up affair. Dan Hooker's takedown defense is too good. Poirier isn't much. He wants to be on the feet anyway. So let's just take that off the table right now. This is boxer versus a kickboxer, and I gotta tell you, Poirier, I really think he's gonna have a hard time early figuring out distance, and I think it's gonna take him a round to get into it. But I think he's gonna take over this fight eventually. Dustin Poirier has been through the gauntlet in this division, and Hooker has not yet really faced the same competition, and when he has, he struggled. Felder, that wasn't a gimme fight. That wasn't. To be honest, I gave that fight to Felder. So this is just a little too much for Hooker to chew. I think it has a chance to go the distance, but I think Poirier is going to finish this late. I think later on, Poirier is just going to overwhelm him with volume and eventually put him down. However, there is a chance for Hooker to knock Poirier out, because Poirier could get a little lungy at times. If that knee comes up the middle, we've seen Hooker do it, especially to Ross Pearson. That could be night. Again, no result here would really surprise me, but I gotta give it to Poirier, and Hooker has a chance. But I think it's gonna be a pretty competitive fight overall. But eventually, Poirier is just gonna overwhelm and take over this fight. So give me Poirier, and I will have a breakdown of this event on Monday. Till then, enjoy the fights, and I'll see you guys Monday.